Hello Painting 2 students, I wanted to introduce you to our next assignment, which is called the impossible shape. We're going to be creating at least 2 impossible shapes on a piece of illustration board and then using complementary color combinations. You can see I used orange and blue on this side and green and red on the other side, and we'll explain more about that later, to create a successful composition that is well balanced and creates a dynamic sense of movement and contrast. But to set this up, we're going to use these printouts of impossible shapes and a piece of illustration board. So I just wanted to walk you through the first part of this process. So I have my illustration board. I've chosen a couple different impossible shapes. There's several to choose from, and I want to try to think about where I want those to be on the composition. Now before I get that far though, I'm using a technique called carbon transfer or graphite transfer. So I'm just using a 4B pencil to shade directly behind. I can see through this piece of typing paper and just kind of shade where all the lines of that impossible shape are. And I kind of did one already so you can kind of see what that looks like. Okay, so be very liberal with the amount of graphite you use because that's going to be important in the next step. Okay, so then you want to take your illustration board and kind of figure out where do you want this to be. Now once it's down, so you have to kind of be careful. I want to try to consciously make some of my shapes go off the page, so I'm just going to make sure that that's the case, and once I am satisfied with that, I'm going to use a ruler and trace over where I wanted that mark to be. Now you can see that it transferred my mark onto the illustration board. So I'm going to carefully go ahead and do that. Now if your impossible shape does not have straight lines, obviously you're going to have to be a little more careful freehanding that. You may even want to do it kind of lightly so that you can go back in and make it better later. Now there are some thicker portions to this. I'm going to just kind of ignore those as I trace, and making sure I'm not moving my paper at all. And before I lift it up at the end, I just want to make sure everything actually got transferred. That's going to be important. So again, it may not be perfect, but I am trying. I'm always shooting for perfection, even if I'm not reaching it. And by doing that, you'll make it as accurate as you possibly can. So again, I'm using my other hand to make sure that this paper doesn't move. Now if you don't trust yourself to do that, you could tape it down while you do this stage as well so it doesn't move. Now I think I got everything, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to hold it down and kind of flip it up and look. And it looks pretty good. I think I got all the marks that I needed, so I'm going to go ahead and lift that up. Okay, so you can see how that shape has been traced on just by transferring the carbon that was on the back of it, the graphite, and getting that transferred on there. So that's going to be ready to paint here soon. So I just got to go ahead and put another shape on there and I'm ready to go.